Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. In this video, we're going to be looking at a bruiser team composition based around Sy'fen, and in particular, we're going to be looking at a ridiculous, disgusting high roll on my part in terms of how this game ultimately came together. This is taken from a ranked game. It is somewhere in high platinum, low diamond matchmaking. My ranked account was rated Platinum 3 at the time, but we've pulled 3 people who have diamond borders in here, so don't know what is quite going on with the matchmaking. Perhaps these are people who got to diamond and then just started messing around and ended up dropping their hidden matchmaking rating well below what is actually diamond, so could actually be a good thing that I'm hitting those players. But in any case, I have gone ahead and grabbed a Vlad with a cloak from the initial carousel. Note that I immediately get a champion duplicator, so I was like, cool, that's nice. When the Nunu pops out of the minion round, I was thinking, should I look to play Mirage here? But then I saw the Mirage trait was Pirates, and I was like, I don't think I want to play Pirates. It's the weakest of the various Mirage abilities. Yes, you get extra gold, but there's no in-combat advantage. And it usually turns into kind of a grief if you're playing Mirage and the trait is Pirates, at least if you're looking to go more deeply into the trait. So right now I'm just kind of waiting to see what's going to pop out. I've been mostly trying to play either like a Corki Cannoneer setup or a Varus setup or a Xayah setup, just because I think they're all have relatively similar itemization and all of them are reasonably strong in this patch. So trying to figure out what I'm playing here. I've got a fair number of pairs. I actually should just sell the Vlad here, but I actually run out of time, and the Vlad ends up stuck on my board, which is not quite what I want here, because I wanted to grab the Jinx, because I've got the Tom Kench pair, and that goes well with the Jinx. So I was like, oh, I do want to have this Jinx. I really wish that I could have sold the Vlad, and then still had this Sejuani pair, because Sedge is just a very versatile, useful unit in the early game. So at the last second, I'm going to sell one of the Sedges and pick up Jinx. And then look what I get here. I was going to take Celestial Blessing, good old Celestial Blessing, but I was like, oh, Titanic Strength. Bruisers gain 1.5% of their attack, their health as attack damage. So they convert 1.5% of their health into AD. And this is just one of the strongest augments in the game. It was originally 2% of their AD or 2% of their health was converted into AD, but that got switched up to 1.5%. It got nerfed because this was far and away the strongest augment at the gold tier, and now it is merely one of the strongest augments at the gold tier. But don't be fooled, this is still a very strong augment. That's in part because bruisers are quite strong in this patch. They're not as strong as they were in some of the other patches, where there was actually one patch where Bruiser 4 was outperforming Cavalier 5, which is just ridiculous. That's like how dominant Bruisers were. So it's not at that degree, but this is still a very good augment, and Bruisers are still good units. So what I ideally want to do here in the early game is look to play through Olaf in the early game. Ideally, I will find an Olaf quickly, and I will be able to play through having that extra damage on Olaf. And then after that, I will want to look to try to find a Sy'fen, and Sy'fen will be my main carry, because Sy'fen is a good unit to begin with. He was nerfed in the most recent patch as I'm recording this. The previous patch had Sy'fen and Shiuyu were kind of the dominant units. So not as strong then. They nerfed the damage on Sy'fen's. I believe that nerfed the damage on his charge. So not quite as dominant, but still a very good unit, and still someone that you can base a team composition around. If you're able to play Sy'fen with this augment, with what is it that I can't remember the name. It's Titanic Force, I think is the name. If you play Sy'fen with this, it means you can run 6 bruisers, and then he's going to convert all that additional health into additional attack damage. Just makes him super duper strong. So right now I'm looking at my items, and I was like, oh, this is a bit unfortunate because these are not good items for Sy'fen. Generally speaking, when people run Sy'fen, they like to run like a Bloodthirster for healing, plus a Rage Blade to stack up attack speed, and then Titan's Resolve, or alternately, in place of the Titan's Resolve, you can have something like Quicksilver Sash. Sometimes you can run just like an Infinity Edge for additional damage, stuff like that. By the way, here I don't kill a single unit, and I was like, oof, that's rough. The problem is all those items that people generally like to play on Sy'fen, I can't really build any of them with the items that I have here. So like if I wanted to build Titan's Resolve, well, that's a bow and a vest. I don't have either of those. If I want to build a Bloodthirster, it's a sword plus the cloak. Well, I guess I have half of that. Excuse me. And then for a Rage Blade, I don't have either component of a Rage Blade. I guess I could make a Quicksilver Sash, but I really don't want to make a Quicksilver Sash here in the early game. Quicksilver Sash is something you generally want to make late in the game, like mid to late game. It's a rather poor early game item because there's just not that much crowd control in the early game. So I guess I like the only thing I could really think to do here was maybe make a Hand of Justice, which again I don't really want to do because Bloodthirster is much better on Sy'fen than a Hand of Justice. Bloodthirster provides that shield. That's a percentage of the unit's max HP, and because Sy'fen's going to have about 1 billion health if I'm playing 4 bruisers or 6 bruisers, the Bloodthirster will be much better in terms of healing. But, you know, I've got the items for Hand of Justice, so I probably, you know, I'm going to have to use that tier somehow, and that's probably the best way I can use it. So I actually do win the first round, then lose the next 2, which is not great, and in fact, they're not particularly close losses. So I'm looking here, I'm like, do I want to take the Varus? That is a 3 gold unit, and it would allow me to be Bloodthirster, but I was like, yeah, but you know, I don't really have a unit to play through right now, and there's an Olaf on this carousel, so my thinking was, I'm going to grab this Olaf just so I have some kind of carry unit. The item on Olaf is not one I want on him. It's a belt, which is not a good item for Olaf. There's nothing he wants that builds out of this. And it's also a bad item for bruisers because bruisers get tons of health innately. Bruisers really want additional armor and magic resistance because they already get so much health. Like they don't need like a Warmogs. They're already getting HP. They need resistances. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but you know, I need some kind of unit to play through. And the other thing this does is it gets 4 bruisers in play, which is a big spike for my comp. 4 bruisers is going to put all that extra health in play for all the bruisers. That's every single unit except Twitch, who I've just thrown in as kind of like a random extra unit because Twitch is going to give everybody on the team a little bit of extra attack speed, which they definitely need. And so Olaf gives me a unit to play through. He gives me 4 bruisers. He puts the warrior trait in play for a little bit of extra damage. Like this unit is intended to stabilize me because I don't want to just loss streak all the way through stage 2 and a good portion of stage 3 until I can find like an Olaf naturally or until I can find a Sy'fen. So I need some kind of carry unit. And if that means taking a suboptimal item, well, Olaf's not going to be the long-term carry in this team comp anyway. This fight is a little bit sad. I thought that my board had gotten a lot stronger there, but this fight does not go especially well. That's because we run right into a 2-star Braum with a Bramble Vest, and my team of all physical damage does not want to see that. That is not the unit we want to see. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate there. There is an Alawi in the shop, so I'm going to look to play Alawi over the Skarner, just a more expensive, better bruiser, and then I'm going to play the Tom over the Skarner, and that's because Skarner's an astral unit, he typically is weaker than a non-astral unit. It's kind of understood that the astral units need to be a little bit weaker because it's so easy to 3-star them. It's debatable there because Skarner does get extra attack speed, and that actually synergizes well with the augment I have. So that's more of a debatable choice, but I just went ahead and tossed in the Tom Kench anyway. All right, so that last fight was pretty unfortunate that the entire team got stuck on a 2-star Braum with a Bramble Vest. But this team does not have a Bramble Vest, and all of a sudden, things looking a lot better here. So it might have been better to have a close loss there, so I could have kept that loss streak going all the way into the minion rounds. But again, I'm okay with this. I've already lost a fair bit of health. I don't want to bleed out too much more health. And mostly I'm just looking to stabilize here until I can find some more bruisers and until hopefully I can get to a high enough level so I can stop and try to roll for a Sy'fen. That is the unit that I am going to be looking to play through here. So far, these shops have been pretty empty. There's an awful lot of bruisers here in set 7. I believe there's 8 different bruisers. I'm going to just double check on this, but I believe that there's 8 of them in the set, and I'm not really finding them. Yeah, there's actually 8 different bruiser units. I'm not, as I said, not really finding them thus far. I have 2-starred precisely nothing. 2-starred absolutely nothing. I've had pairs of Tom Kench and pairs of Skarners the entire time. The only Olaf I've seen has been the one I've taken out of off of Carousel, and I've only seen 1 Shen. Plus, I have not. Well, this is good here. I see a Silas. So I was like, all right, well, I will play the Silas. That's definitely good. And then look at what I get here. I get a champion duplicator. I was like, oh, 2 champion duplicators. And then I'm going to get another champion duplicator. What? I have 3 champion duplicators? What? Yes. Somehow I have 3 champion duplicators. I have no idea how this happened. I guess it's to compensate for me only having 2 item components. So I've gotten the 2 off of the carousels and then only gotten 2. That's it. So I am down an awful lot of items. As I said, I only have 4 total components when you usually have about 6 or 7 at this point in time in the game. So I've got triple champion duplicators. So the greedy thing would be to try to play for a 3-star unit, try to play for like a 3-star 4-cost unit, and that would certainly be like a win the lobby type play, but that's not what I'm going to go for here. My thinking was, okay, now I just need to find 1 Sy'fen, and then we can double Nico. Well, I'm still calling it Nico. They used to be called Nico's Help. Now they're officially champion duplicators. I was like, we can double use the champion duplicators on a Sy'fen if we just find 1, and then that'll stabilize us all through the mid game and should lock down a top 4 finish, hopefully. So I'm hoping that this will get me to the point where I can at least top 4 because this is a ranked game. That's my #1 goal. Obviously, I'd like to win the lobby, but I'm not going to engage in like a very high risk maneuver just to try to increase my winning odds of the lobby. I'd much rather just try to lock down a top 4 finish. All right, well, these are really easy options. Second Wind is available there in the store. Second Wind synergizes beautifully with Bruisers. Second Wind gives back a percentage of your max HP, and Bruisers are going to get lots and lots and lots of HP. So like I said, it's just a natural synergy. I'm going to hold the Twitch for the time being. I will sell the Ezreal to get to 30 gold because I don't see myself ever playing Ezreal. I would play Twitch, though, on level up if I can't find anything else. So 6 Bruisers, 2 Warriors. This is kind of like the new comp here, just literally tossing in every Bruiser. But there is logic to it. I would not do this, obviously, unless I had that Augment. But with the Titanic Force Augment and an Olaf in there, this board actually should be pretty decent. I'm going to hold off on rolling here, even though it would not be bad to roll here to try to hit some 2-stars. But I don't have any pairs. I guess I have a pair of Toms, and that's it. So like I don't really have a lot of pairs, which would be a reason to roll. And I really want to roll for Sy'fen. Like, I'm not trying to play through Olaf long term. I really want to play through a Sy'fen. So I want to get to level 7. My plan is roll on 7, find 1 Sy'fen, and then let that stabilize me all through the mid game, and then push to fast 8, maybe fast 9 if we're strong enough, and look to go from there, hopefully locking down a top 4 finish in the process. So this person has significantly more 2-stars on their board than I do, but you notice we kind of cut through this because yeah, even 1-star units with this, augment are pretty strong once you get up to 6 Bruisers. There, at least we get a second Shen. So now we're up to a Shen pair. As far as how much health I'm actually getting here, I do have the cheat sheet open on the other screen. Bruiser 6 is 450 health, and then that gets doubled for Bruisers. So that's 900 additional health on all of my Bruisers, because I'm only playing Bruisers. I have 6 units in, all of them are Bruisers. So they all get 900 health. That's like, at the very least, doubling their health, and in many cases, more than doubling their health. The 1-star units do not have anywhere near 900 base health. I think they mostly have around 700-ish health. So yeah, they're like more than doubling their health as a result of getting this. And it's a bit unfortunate, again, that I only have 1 2-star unit in the Skarner, because whenever units start up, one of the things they do get is significantly more health. All of that translates into additional damage via my augment. So it would be very nice to have that. Here I'm hitting this Tahm Kench, but I am unlucky in this round. The Tahm Kench has rolled a Sunfire Vest, which is probably the single best item that he can roll. Maybe Bramble would be better, but rolls the Sunfire Cape. Also rolls a belt just to make that unit even tankier. So I was like, oh, that made this comp significantly harder to deal with. But even so, we're still able to deal with this. Olaf is the only one left alive, and he's going to polish that one off. I guess he's not stacking up the death stacks from dying in combat, but that's okay. As I said, Olaf is not the main featured unit here. All right, so we've got items here. I have, I've got a cloak on my bench, so I could look to try to take a sword here. There's 2 swords on the carousel, but now that I've made the Hand of Justice, I really don't want to make Bloodthirster. I don't need double lifesteal items on Sy'fen. So now, out of these options, I'm looking here, I was like, I want that vest, because that vest will make a Sunfire Cape. Long term, now it's not a good item on Olaf, again. Sorry, Olaf, I'm not trying to rag on you in this match, but you are not my main carry in this game. So it's going to make a Sunfire, which I can put on one of my frontline units later. So Olaf, again, just holding the item for right now. I definitely think that that was the best option out of what I had on the carousel. It was on a 3 gold unit as opposed to a 1 or 2 gold unit. And Sunfire is going to be really, really useful. There's a number of people playing mages in this lobby. There's a number of people playing, there's at least one person playing Jade, and I have no other way of getting a heal cut onto my board. So I really want to get a healing reduction against some of these boards. Yeah, you see the Jade player, and I think this is the Jade player that I'm hitting right now. Yeah, this person is, this is one of the Jade players, although for some reason they're re-rolling for Set 3-star. And not re-rolling for Karma or Ezreal 3-star. Antisocial Monkey would be very disappointed with this player because they're not re-rolling for Ezreal. They're re-rolling for Set, which is much, much, much worse. Now that said, they have gone all in. They're 20 gold level 5, and they've hit a 3-star Set. So they're probably stronger than me right here, especially because they have a Rage Blade. But again, folks, if you're watching this, don't go for a 3-star Set. It's not good. Seriously, it's not good. Like, this person beats me, but I am so far ahead of them economically. I am light years ahead of them, and they've spent all their gold to play a team comp that's not even good. And oh, hold that thought. That's the Sy'fen. Yep, that's the Sy'fen. We managed to hit it at 5% odds on level 6. So I was like, well, let's just go to level 7. And I got all these champion duplicators burning a hole in my pocket. So that's going to be a 2-star Sy'fen on 3-6, and I'm gonna slap that Hand of Justice on him, and then now I've got this Sunfire cape, so I have to put it on someone. And I was like, well, I know that Silas is gonna stay on my board because he's definitely going to be played along with the Sy'fen. So I'll just put it on him, and hopefully I'll be able to 2-star him. I'm pretty sure he's not coming out of my comp. Shen would have been the other good choice here. I don't think it mattered too much which one, but I think that Sy'fen will scale a little bit better long term. And both of these units are going to stay in my comp permanently. So yeah, now I've got a 2-star dragon on our board, and we didn't even have to spend 16. We didn't have to roll for it, and we didn't have to spend 16 gold on purchasing the 8 gold cost Sy'fens. We just double champion duplicated that, and I still have another champion duplicator. So while it's true that that basically gives up any chance of 3-starring like a 4-cost unit, I got a 2-star Sy'fen on stage 3-6. So I mean that's going to be pretty good. And I am more than happy with that. All right, now there's a talent in the store, so I'm thinking, what do I want to play on next level up? Do I want to play the Talon on level up? Do I want to play that Twitch? I do have a 2-star Twitch. Ultimately, I'm like, no, I think I want to play the Talon because Talon is going to synergize with Pyke. And then long term, I want to go into Pyke here. Pyke is another Whisperers unit, and he's, of course, also an Assassin, 5-cost Assassin plus Whispers unit. So that's the unit I want to play into long term. So I'm going to look to try to get there. And then look at this. I get a Nico's help. I was like, oh, okay, Nico's help. Remember how I wasn't getting items earlier in the game because I got all those champion duplicators? Now the items are starting to pop out. So I was like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? Well, I know what I'm going to do with 2 of these items. I've got a Titans, so we're going to put that on Sy'fen. Titans is one of Sy'fen's best items. I've got the items for a Dragon's Claw. I'm not putting that on Sy'fen. I'll put that on a tank. I want to leave that last slot on Sy'fen to maybe get a Rage Blade, maybe get like an Infinity Edge, something with extra attack speed, something with extra damage is what I'm looking for. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty strong here. The Titans is a really good item, and I'm thinking, and the thing I was like, oh, I know what I can do with this spatula. I can make an assassin emblem with it, and we can turn Sy'fen into an assassin, and then we'll get assassin trait in by playing the Talon, and then maybe we can look to play 4 assassins long term. I'll have to think about, like, maybe I might want to drop the 6 bruisers long term, even though it would lose some value from this augment. Maybe if I can turn Sy'fen into an assassin, it might be worthwhile to drop down to 4 bruisers and play 4 assassins. So we'll have to see what I hit. Have to get to Pyke first before we can get there. In the meantime, though, Sy'fen is just going to be annihilating people because you are not supposed to have a 2-star version of an 8-cost dragon this early in the game, much less one with Titanic Force or whatever it's called, augmenting that unit. Here, I look over the options. I do have Stand United, which is going to be a really nice, but I was like, you know what? Look at the traits I'm playing, or rather the traits I'm not playing. I'm only playing 3 traits right now, so I'm not going to get much Stand United value. And if I'm playing deep into the Whispers trait, I'm probably not going to get that many traits in play. So I end up going with Best Friends instead, and I do think this is a really good choice for my setup here. Sy'fen's big weakness right now is he's lacking attack speed. Best Friends is going to give Sy'fen some attack speed. It's going to give all the other bruisers some attack speed, which matters more here because, remember, they are all getting bonus AD due to that Titanic Force augment. And they're also going to get extra armor, which is really key for bruisers because they are all frontline units. Unlike when you're, like, let's say you're playing front-to-back team comp, let's say you're playing Corki or Xayah or something, you know, Best Friend's value is going to give attack speed like to your Xayah, but it's not going to give her any armor. Well, it does, but ideally Xayah is never getting hit, so it's not a big deal. But my Bruisers are all played right up on the front line, so that armor actually matters a lot for all of them. And therefore, so I think this was a good choice. Just Stand United, generically a better augment, but I think in this situation, Best Friends was actually a little bit better. Anyway, we've got a minute here, as you see me. I'm also grabbing this Elise on my bench because I'd like to get into 6 Whispers, potentially. I'd like to get Elise in, and I'd like to get Pyke in, and I'd like to get Talon in, and I might have to shuffle units around to do that, but that's the thinking. I was like, do I drop down to 4 Bruisers to go up to 6 Whispers? I was like, if I didn't have Titanic Force, I think I would do that, but with Titanic Force, I don't think that's as good. Anyway, I should just mention briefly about what these traits do, because I haven't really talked. I don't think I've done a previous video about Sy'fen before. I haven't really played him too much in this set, despite him being a strong unit. So he is the Whispers Dragon. The Whispers trait, I'll read the official description. Whispers damage shrinks enemies, reducing their armor and magic resist by 40% for 6 seconds. So whenever Whispers units damage enemies, they shred some of their armor and MR. And then when they damage a shrunken enemy, so they have to damage a unit they've already damaged, Whispers gain stacking bonuses. They gain stacking AD and AP. At Whispers 4, it's 3 AD and 3 AP each time they damage a shrunken enemy. So basically each time they damage an enemy that they've damaged before. And so that 3 AD and 3 AP will stack up over the course of the fight. All right, well, we've got another carousel here, and I'm seeing this, the glove, which would make assassin emblem for Sy'fen. I was like, yeah, assassin Sy'fen would be really nice here, but it's on a 5-cost Zoe, and I was like, I'm pretty sure someone's going to take this Zoe. Pretty sure someone wants that, and they do. So out of the options left over, it's like, do I want a tier? Do I want a rod? No, I don't want a tier or a rod. I want to just make the Tactician's Crown, the old force of nature. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're not going to get Assassin Sy'fen in this game, but we'll just take the Tactician's Crown instead. That sounds pretty good. So let's just go ahead and I get to play an extra unit. I'm going to toss in the Elise, and then I'm going to level and toss in the Talon. So now I just need to find Pyke. Just have to find Pyke. Pyke will give me 6 Whispers and 2 Assassins. And that is definitely the way I want to finish up this comp. I also see that there's an Olaf in the store. I'm going to play the Olaf over the Tahm Kench. And then I need to move the Elise next to the Talon so that they're getting Best Friends benefit. I think it takes me a round to realize that. Alrighty, so Sy'fen has been on a real tear here, but because I haven't really used Sy'fen before, I do want to talk a little bit about how this unit works, because he is an interesting unit and is a really... I don't know what else to say. A really high RNG unit in this set. He just barely survives long enough to get off a charge there. So I'm going to read his official description, and then we'll spend some time here, since we have lots of Sy'fen gameplay to look at, spend some time here looking about how his ability actually functions. So Sy'fen's ability is called Rampage. It has a high mana cost, 175, so pretty expensive. Sy'fen charges towards the farthest enemy within 2 hexes. That's a big deal. Charges towards the farthest enemy within 2 hexes. Deals physical damage, knocks up enemies as they pass through. After charging, Sy'fen bites an enemy, deals physical damage, ignores 50% of the target's armor. So those are the 2 things to Sy'fen's setup. He is going to charge. He's going to charge at the furthest enemy within 2 hexes. And then he's going to bite after that. And the bite is what does the big damage. Now, the charge does have some CC. It does knock units up that get hit. But the big thing is the bite. The bite is what does humongous damage. And so one of the reasons why you really want to itemize some kind of lifesteal on Sy'fen is because, he will heal off the damage dealt by that bite. That's why Bloodthirster is better than Hand of Justice. He's going to heal off the damage dealt, and it's also going to provide that shield, which, since my Sy'fen is almost 4,000 health, would be absolutely massive. We'll get back to the charge in a second. All right, so here I want one last item for Sy'fen, and I was like, oh, Edge of Night. Okay, that works. I mean, it's not like best in slot by any means, but it's not bad. We'll certainly go ahead and take that. So we'll go ahead and put that on Sy'fen. This will give him an aggression drop. So when he hits 60% health, he'll become stealth, and he will, everyone who's targeting him will drop targeting. And then after that, he will gain attack speed for the rest of combat. And that's actually really good because I mentioned he is missing in attack speed. He does not have a Rage Blade, which is what you would often want to put on this unit. So I think this was a good last choice, especially something that I was able to get out of the Treasure Dragon with minimal rolling. And then I just had this leftover leftover Quicksilver Sash, which I don't really have a good user. If Olaf had like a bunch of stacks, then I'd put it on Olaf, but he doesn't. Maybe I should have actually put this on the Sy'fen, or not Sy'fen, on Silas, so he tanked better. I've mentioned before that Quicksilver Sash is a pretty good tank item. Might have been better applied there because, let's face it, Talon does not really get crowd controlled very often as an assassin jumping into the back lines. All right, but back to Sy'fen. He is the main featured unit on my team, and he is the featured unit on this video. So I mentioned before, you know, he has this high mana cost, and then when the bar fills up, he's going to charge, and then he's going to bite someone. And Sy'fen can be pretty RNG heavy because that bite, who he chooses to go after, can be frustrating. His targeting can be pretty weird. Like, what does it mean that he goes after the farthest enemy within 2 hexes? Well, he can kind of go almost anywhere. And in this fight, I believe he's actually dropped his charge a couple of times. It is also possible for his charge to miss. If he hits a unit that has dodge chance, they can actually dodge his charge because it is physical damage. Look how close that fight is, but Sy'fen just barely survives at the tail end of that. And we win the fight because one of his charges he chose to go after Rise, who is the main carry. If he had charged a different unit at the end of the fight there, then we would have lost the fight. But it's not completely random who he goes after. There was a really good Reddit post about Sy'fen and his targeting that I'm getting a lot of this information from. So it's not entirely random where he will go after. He will generally try, so he generally tries to target a unit that's like, well, as we said, 2 hexes away is what he tends to go after, something 2 hexes away. And you usually want Sy'fen to go after someone who's in the back lines. So what I've seen is you usually want to position him on whatever side the enemy team's carry is on. Like in this fight, he doesn't do this. In this fight, he charges over to the right instead of going after Xayah that's on the left. But you have pretty good odds for him to target one of the units in the back line if you put him on the same side as whatever the carry is on. He just is more likely to go after them if that's the case. The thing you really want to avoid if you're trying to defend against Silas is you want to watch out for units that are in the 3rd row. Like, you know, you're going to have your frontliners up on the front line. But if you have a unit that's in the 3rd row, Sy'fen will very frequently target that unit, and then he charges into the back line, and then he's biting your carries. I've heard that in particular, Namzi can be like this sometimes. If you play Namzi in like the back, oftentimes Namzi will end up in the 3rd row, and then Sy'fen will like charge like a heat-seeking missile after Namzi in the 3rd row, and then from there it will be right on top of your carries. So anyway, that's just what I've heard, and I have seen some anecdotal evidence. Like, look where the Namzi is. The Namzi's in the 3rd row. So if my Sy'fen had been on the right-hand side, he's not. He's on the left-hand side, and that's going to screw things up. Yeah, see, he actually charges the Itis in the front row, and that's just because he's on the other side. But look what happens here. Then he focused the Namzi for some reason. Now he's in the back line, so is he going to bite Corki? If he bites Corki, we probably win this fight. But nope, charges off to a different target again. And so for the first time since hitting Sy'fen 2, I am, in fact, going to lose this round. So he's kind of a frustrating unit. His targeting is not completely random, but you don't always have a great deal of control over it, unfortunately. You kind of have to like point him on the correct side and hope for the best. Just kind of hope he'll go after a high priority target. And it is one of the more frustrating aspects about this set that a lot of the fights are determined by Sy'fen charge and bite RNG, and who he chooses to go after can often be kind of random. Anyway, I am picking up a death cap here, and the reason why I'm picking this up is I want this to go on Pyke. Pyke is an AP champion, and death cap is going to be really, really good on him. I just have to find Pyke. So my plan is, you can see I put in the Diana for right now. I want to get Assassin trait in for the Talon, and the plan is go to 9. At level 9, we take out the Diana, we play Pyke, and then we put in the Elise, and again, that gets us 6 Whispers, 2 Assassin, 6 Bruiser. Should be pretty nutty. So that's the plan. I am trying to position Sy'fen on the same side as where people have their carries. So that's my goal. And if people have their carries on the left-hand side, I have pretty good odds that Sy'fen's going to go after them, or at least that's the hope anyway. Unfortunately, that's not the case here. This person's playing Alshin, and the Alshin is on the right-hand side. So I just have to hope for good luck, and I do get good luck. Look where Sy'fen goes. He goes over to the right-hand side. Just kind of dumb luck, and now Sy'fen is on the Alshin. I'm like, oh, come on, can you get off your bite? One more bite, and come on. Actually, his bite looks like it got interrupted, but he stays targeting on the Alshin, is able to knock that unit out. Now he's going to charge, and I'm like, can he 1v4 here? Well, there is no damage on any of these other units, and Sy'fen has lifesteal from Hand of Justice, so Sy'fen should win this. None of these units can ever kill him, so we're going to win knock that person down to 20 HP. But I am very worried about that person because they have an Al Shin on their team and a very well itemized Al Shin. And that is the comp that caps out the highest in set 7. If they can hit 2-star Al Shin, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble because 2-star Al Shin as a 10-cost dragon definitely beats 2-star Sy'fen as an 8-cost dragon. It's just a board that caps out higher. So my best hope is get to level 9, 2-star the rest of my board, get in Elise, get in Pike, and hopefully go from there. All right, so I'm just doing a little shuffling here. I'm going to move to the right-hand side because I was hoping that I'd be able to hit one of the units that's on the right-hand side. And look, Xayah is over on the right-hand side. All right, so who is Sy'fen going to pick to charge? Oh, he picks the Xayah, and as soon as he bites, that's it. He just one-shot the Xayah, and just like that, we win the fight. This is one of the things that's so frustrating about playing against Sy'fen. If the fight plays out like this, you're just dead. Like, you just instantly lose the round in the first 5 seconds. You know that you've lost the round. And that's it. And that's actually going to knock out this player. So I'm sure it was very frustrating for them. But I did, like I said, you can't fully control where Sy'fen's going to go. But, you know, I did put Sy'fen in position where he could pick Xayah as his first target. And I get lucky, and he does, in fact, pick Xayah as his first target. So all you can really do is put Sy'fen in position to go after the key priority targets on the other team, and then just hope that RNG works in your favor. It's a little bit crummy that it works that way, but it's all you can really do, unfortunately. All right, well, we're heading to stage 6, so I have been very patient here. I've been accumulating all my gold. I went to level 8 relatively early because I wanted to get the the Talon plus another assassin in. I was hoping I'd find Pike. I haven't found Pike. So now we just need to go. We're 9. We have 50 gold to roll with. I should pick up Olaf here. I miss it. I will grab Bard just in case I don't hit. I'm like, come on, Pike? Pike? Can we find Pike? I go by Diana. I should at least pick up Diana in case I can't hit. There's an Al Shin. So I'm going to hold that in the hopes of denying this other player. I'm like, Pike? Pike? Please? Can we find a Pike? I'll sell the Sy'fen. Can we find one Pike? Pike? No Pike. Okay. I guess we just have to play through the Diana for right now. And I mean, I did manage to get in a Bard, which is certainly not bad, but man, I really wanted to find Pike. And oh, what's this? Someone else who has placed their Xayah in exactly the same position as the last player. Yeah, they really should have had their Xayah over on the left-hand side because their board is quite good. They have a 2-star Bard and everything, but they do not have they did not have their Xayah in the correct position. They needed Xayah to be on left-hand side since my Sy'fen was on right-hand side. So yeah, we just automatically win this fight too. It might take a little while, but we're guaranteed to win because once Xayah is dead, there's no damage on that team comp. The problem is this other person has hit 2-star Al Shin, so I was like, oh boy, I don't think I beat this person. I'm like, can I get a Pike? Maybe, please? Can we find one Pike? I had 50 gold to roll with. No one's playing this unit, and I can't find it. Not even one. I'll go ahead and put in the Ornn. That's going to be better than the Skarner. But geez, okay. All right. Well, all I can do is, again, remember, as I said, all you can do is try to put Ornn in put Sy'fen in position. So I'm going to move him over here to the left-hand side, and all I can do is just cross my fingers, pray that maybe he'll go after Al Shin. That's my only hope here. But oh, he focuses Namzi. Remember what I said about being in the 3rd rank? And oh, he bit the Al Shin. Al Shin's dead. He didn't get his cast off in the fight. Oh my goodness. Now 2nd wind's kicked in. I'm like, you know what? My whole team's alive. I think if my entire team survives, I think we knock this player out. Come on, survive, everybody. I need you all to survive. Bard, stay alive back there. I need everybody to stay alive. If everybody's alive, I think we do 20 damage here. And there we go. 22 damage. Oh, boy. I don't think that person was expecting to get knocked out of the lobby like that. Sy'fen RNG for the win. So yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about a game where I was high rolling and had the luck factors going in my favor, oh my goodness, this game, getting that bruiser augment at the start of the game, hitting the triple champion duplicators, getting Sy'fen at 5% odds without having to roll for him, and then getting a force of nature or tactician's crown, whatever the terminology is, for +1 team size. The only thing that was bad was failing to find Pike, but well, we can live with it. And that last fight where Sy'fen just bullseyed for the Al Shin. Whew. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, take care, folks.